Hey everyone, Ruben here at Kinder Dog PDX. I wanted to give a brief kind of demonstration overview of what our layering system looks like. You probably hear me talking a lot about we need to teach the dogs what they should be doing, you know, working on communication. We use tools to help develop communication between the dogs. It's like the prong collar is a language, the remote collar is a language, and so I wanted to give a kind of a, you know, like I said, a brief overview of what that stuff kind of looks like. So here we have Denning. She's with us for a board and train, and you know, she's here fighting with her sister and stuff a bunch. And so what we're trying to do, or what the building steps are, is like getting her to know how to turn pressure off, learning how to follow the leash, knowing what to do when she feels the pressure from the remote, and all that stuff happens in stages, okay? So the first stage is when we use our food, and we use food throughout the whole training process, but the food, it is just one form of teaching the dog something, right? So if I have a piece of kibble, so all the dogs work for their daily meals, if I have a piece of food and I'm going like, you know, this, and then she lifts up and she sits down, I say good and give her the food, right? After the dog is really fluent on that, we start to layer in leash pressure, okay? So what that looks like, it would be, you know, she already knows this, and so then I apply leash pressure straight up, and as soon as she hits the ground, as soon as her butt hits the ground, all of that pressure goes away, right? And so that's how we start to teach her what the leash means, okay? It's not just putting the leash on the dog and start correcting her. You know, just because she's here for fighting with her sister doesn't mean that we're gonna just put these tools on her, bring them in together, and then start correcting them, because they might not even know what a correction means, you know? Denny, over here, girl. So we can already start to build in what nope means simply with these things, right? So if, for example, she is in a sit and then she comes out of the sit, nope, I tell her nope and then put her back into that sit, okay? That was a little unfair because, you know, she wasn't doing anything. But that would be us teaching her what sit means, okay? And then what we're gonna do is we layer, after she's all good with all of the leash pressure stuff, so we can go sit, we can go down. After we know that she's all good with leash pressure, then we start to layer in the remote collar, okay? And the first thing you have to do when you're layering the remote collar is you have to find the level that the dog feels, because if you're not finding the level that she feels, then all you're doing is using leash pressure and food, and you're never going to really be able to get her to be 100% off leash. So you find the level that the dog feels. In this case, Denning feels it like 8, 9. But what we do is, Denny, come here, girl. You would engage the button. That's like step 1, okay? So she feels this slight tick, okay? So I feel this little bit of a pressure. I give her leash guidance. So it would be like button, leash guidance up. As soon as she did what I asked her to do, because she already knows what she's supposed to do with that leash, all of that pressure then goes away. And then I say good and give her some food. Let's go. So we, you know, like we take a balanced approach here, meaning that we use a bunch of different tools. We, you know, if she needed more help, I might use the food with the leash. I might even use my hand to do something like that. You know, I'm not against using any of those things, and I'm going to use whatever I can to help her succeed, whether it's me putting body pressure into her, any one of those types of things helps, right? And then the other thing is like we teach the dog what yes and no means. Basically meaning like, yes, I really like that. No, you can't do that. She fights with her sister, so she needs to know what no means. And eventually we're going to get to that point where we can start you know, correcting for any of that negative stuff that she's trying to do to her sister. So, you know, again, what I'm saying is we use a layering system, okay? So it starts off with food, and then we layer in the leash, and then we layer in the remote collar. The remote collar is what's going to help give us the off-leash control. You know, if she's on place and her sister comes walking by and she starts to give her like a little bit of a death glare, you know, the stink eye, we can address it without having to go over there and grab the leash. All of that stuff is going to be huge moving forward with both of the dogs, really. You know, all of my dogs, all three of them, are remote collar trained. You know, I can take them basically anywhere and not have to really worry. I have 100% recall with them, you know, no matter what. Squirrels, whatever it is. It's like they come back whenever I want them to. They're happy to do it. And, you know, they're always willing to work, right? And that's kind of what we're trying to do here, is get the dogs to work for their meals, start having that mindset, you know, like we have that mindset of, you know, getting kids to work for a paycheck, right? It's like if you don't make your kid work and then they're 25 years old and all of a sudden they have to get a job, they're going to struggle. And, you know, however, with those kids who built up a work ethic when they're 16, you know, maybe younger, they kind of know what's expected of them, right? It's like, hey, if I want to do X, I got to go to work, you know? And so with these guys, that's kind of what we're doing as well, is teaching them that, hey, I need you to pay attention to me more than you need to pay attention to any of that other stuff. Especially because this little one here likes to fight things and likes to be aggressive, and, you know, she's been practicing it for a long time. So what we're trying to do is communicate to her in such a way, right? So like for instance right here, I might press and hold the button and say here, and as soon as she turns into me, I'm going to release that pressure, right? So if she's looking away, I want her not to really be engaged with me. I want her to kind of be looking somewhere else. And I will... Good! I don't have her bag of kibble on me right now, but at that moment I would have paid her, because what that's telling her is that, oh, when I feel that stim and I turn into you, I'm going to get paid. I'm going to get some food, and I really love food, right? So that, in a nutshell, is kind of a quick description, overview of how we go about the process of layering these tools onto the dog, because eventually, you know, we want to get to just using this and this just for guidance, you know, because this is directional, this is non-directional. You know, I need to use my body and voice cues to help her follow the remote, whereas with this, it's just leash pressure, you know, and it's not crank and yank or anything like that. It's, you know, it's none of that stuff, regardless of what you may have heard or what other people say. We don't do that kind of training here of like slapping collars on dogs and yanking away at them. I mean, you're not going to get anywhere with that. I mean, you might, but you're going to see some pretty different dogs. So again, you know, this is just a quick little description of how we go about setting up the communication that's going to help us move forward with the dogs. Okay? Talk to you later. Bye.